Suitcase full of pennies.
What's up, guys? Can you hear me?
What's
Yeah,
up,
can you hear
guys?
Tropical?
Hey,
Awesome.
Tropical. Thunder's back, by the way.
Let me share copy. Let me just post this right now on our channel.
England asks, how are you all doing? I'm doing great. Excited for tomorrow, getting stuff ready. A little nervous, but excited nevertheless.
Yeah. All fire.
Can I dare ask? Can I dare ask? Did anybody see the crazy video we posted today?
Yeah.
The real question is, did anybody respond?
Yes.
Not yet. Not yet. Apparently, a lot of people have been DMing Mark Zuckerberg, Davils. Those are the only two that I've heard of so far. So I'm down. I'll play either Mark Zuckerberg in his frisbee game, or you know, he's a frisbee guy, right? I mean, maybe he plays me in Pop One or Onward, but
Should we get Devin or whatever his name is from Pavlov in here?
I don't even know who that is.
Zuck has said in public that he plays Onward. I don't know if that's still the case or not, but he said that in a post a while ago.
Okay, I'll play him in Onward then. Feel confident with Theta on my team, right? You would be on my team, right, Theta?
Naturally.
Mark Zuckerberg wants to play, and you don't show up, I'd be very, very fucked.
If that ever happens, I'll be there, Tropical.
All right, Thunder Pilot 2, right?
Yes,
All right, thank you, Mama Bird.
you're welcome.
We got
Still sign him up.
our first question from the video guy at XLab Panda.
Where
guess
are
I'll
the
read it out.
questions being posted right now?
Town hall questions.
Town hall questions.
I guess I'll read it out for you guys. So Panda says, what's the thought process behind banning artificial turning and crouching for the finals? I have my suspicions as to why, but it seems like a real issue for people used to those features having to change their entire play style. Also, what if I have bad knees? What if I can only play sitting for whatever reason?
We'll start it. It's we love both those features. But there's multiple goals for this LAN, obviously, and one of them being showcase VR esports as best as possible. And part of that is the physicality of it, and being able to showcase that on stage is really important. So we want to start with trying to have a level baseline for all the players, let them know early that we would like to do this. And it's it's obviously like shots like where we show the character model crouching versus show camera shots of players crouching, all that stuff like just makes it so much more exciting to say, okay, look, this is what you can do in VR that you can't do anywhere else. And that's something that we want to accomplish with the LAN. So that's where that comes in. Now, medical exemptions are totally different, and that's something that we would obviously have to account for. But we'll see a lot of that as we get closer to the event. Once we know our top 40 teams and then top 4 teams, we'll be talking with them. But our kind of philosophy is if we're thinking about implementing a rule like that, let's put it in early. Let's put it in there. It's always easier to remove it later. But at least players know that it's something they might they should expect. And Thunder and others who were at the ESL lands can also talk a little bit about, that was something that was done in those days as well. That was actually where it kind of started. ESL had similar guidelines for how they expected kind of things to look and what they wanted to showcase. And part of it is also like, all players will have adequate play space. They're going to have, all the sort of comfort things that are necessary that, some players might be using Snapturn for, or they might be using it because they only have 2 base stations and they don't have good tracking. But really, in an ideal kind of play space, those are not going to be issues.
I think it's worth it to add as well that we will also have exceptions for those that need it. That will be decided at the LAN event, but if there's someone that needs it for medical reasons, I think we'll be happy to grant exceptions in those circumstances.
Don't you guys think best of 3 for grand final is a bit short, since Vail maps are usually around 30 minutes long? It's a good question. I think there's a lot of factors there, but one of them is also kind of state of the game and what maps we have available. And I think we could probably expand it, but that also means it's expanding the whole event, expanding the amount of time that players have to play, possibly including breaks in between. It changes the whole way the event is structured. So when we started planning our timeline, that kind of where best of three started to come from. And also the whole playoffs are played in a similar format, so we kind of defined that as a playoff format. But anybody else want to comment on that one?
I think you've said it quite well there. A lot of it is time constraints and just we don't want to be repeating maps where possible. We want to showcase what there is to a high quality. We don't need to necessarily give them a large quantity of everything.
I also want to say that these are going to be the top 4 teams out of all of these. So, in best case, these actually go 10 to 11 points every round. So they should be longer matches.
If anyone is still wondering, there's a town hall questions channel where you can put your questions in. Maybe towards the end of this, we'll pull some folks on stage as well, depending on how much time there is. But right now, we're just trying to get all the questions answered as quickly as possible. So throw them in that channel, and we'll get them answered.
So we do have a bit more of a question on the artificial turning from Kinglink, asking how it will be moderated for the finals, how it will be disabled. So I think to answer on that, it will be a case of you can just turn it off. So for most people who don't have an exemption, they will just be required to have the setting turned off, and that will be quite easy to moderate. They won't be allowed to have the setting enabled in the first place. For people with the exception, of course, they could have it enabled. But yeah, I don't think we should need to have punishments for that because it should be quite easy to moderate as is.
Our next question is about the prize pool and winning teams and age restrictions. So our age restrictions for the event entirely is 13 plus, and this includes lands. And how that's kind of from our side is we'll be getting parental consent for anybody who is under 18. If they're unable to come because their parent does not consent, then their team will have to bring one of their subs there. And if a team full of, under 18 players cannot come for whatever reason, then we'll be looking at an alternate team. But we'll be getting parental consent, and that'll also handle, the prizes will also be handled in a similar way. So yes, if you're under 18, you still have a shot at coming to Miami. Okay, our next question is about recording. So, you want to talk about kind of our restrictions for recording and what we do to enable that and help people?
So when it comes to live, that is going to just be required to not have the mixed setting turned on or the third person setting enabled. Do you have any input on the game HUD, Etch?
Right, yes, the spectator HUD of the game should be enabled. You cannot disable that because there's some stuff on there that we would like to make sure is captured in the recording. Now, as far as like performance, and that's a big concern that a lot of folks have had. I have a low spec PC, or I struggle when I'm recording. What we say is we have a video as well as a text guide, and we have recording presets for and settings for OBS that we provide. If you don't know what OBS is, the video will walk you through it. If you need the link, we'll share it. We created this guide about a year ago for kind of being the least performance overhead way for recording, gameplay, and it's worked pretty well for us in the past, and we're hoping that it will work with even up to min-spec machines in Vail. Now, of course, this also requires you probably to tune your graphic setting. You might have to turn a little bit lower and so forth. But this is really important for us for a kind of beta game to maintain competitive integrity and make sure that everything is fair. Having those VODs on request, players have to keep them for 2 weeks. They don't have to upload them unless it's requested. And even when requested, you'll have to probably upload a round or whatever kind of part of the game is in question. So it's encouraged, it's required that everybody record, and it's also good for the players as well. It's good for them to have that footage as well. So we're trying to facilitate this as best as we can with our guides, informations, files, all that stuff. If players are having trouble, they can make a ticket. We'll see if there's anything we can do to help you out. And if there really is nothing we can do, if it's really a case of your PC is just not suited for recording and playing Vail, there are exceptions granted. But it is in a very sort of edge case that we do that, and very rarely we do that because we really need everybody to be recording to maintain competitive integrity.
I just want to clarify Panda's question about asking about live. The recording mandate specifically uses the game window, which has to be open anyways. You can do recordings with live outside of the recording mandate, but it does not work for the recording mandate because it does not have the gameplay HUD on it. Like, you could run 2 instances of OBS if you really want to capture live. But to be perfectly honest, the live window and the recording and everything else is a lot of overhead that I wouldn't want in general. I wouldn't want to run live when I'm trying to compete in a tournament.
A lot that we're in talks with live, and we want to see mixed mode and third person mode be used for content creation in the tournament. Once certain things have been patched out, once certain things have been, made sure that it's fair and there's no possible methods for abuse, we hope to be able to enable that. And I hope that we can also have, maybe spectator HUD a part of that as well. We can also look at potentially something that might work is we'd have to look into this and make sort of files for it. But if all the spectator HUD is at the bottom of the screen, you might be able to kind of add that to your live recording. We might be able to say that's compliant with our recording mandate, but at this point we can't. As we get closer towards some of those live updates coming out, we'll look into making new sets of files that allow mixed mode and third person mode to be legal.
He also asked if he can just stream the qualifiers. Technically, yeah, as long as it has all the same information on screen as the recording mandate, that's fine. But again, from a performance standpoint, recording is easier than streaming. So if you had to choose one of the two, I would choose recording.
I'd also add that if you're streaming, to make sure you've got adequate internet. So, we have network connectivity rules as well, part of which is it's the player's responsibility to make sure that they've got a good connection. If streaming makes your connection worse, or it makes you have ping swings, packet loss, etc., then you probably shouldn't be streaming. So we'll add that disclaimer there too.
So I'm going to elaborate a bit more on the team recording and settings for a 2-ton feather here. Again, we have a lot of guides out there for performance. I am repeating this again just for a 2-ton feather here. So if I can send you these links, I'll post these links in the town hall chat if need be, but it will direct you more on how to get the most performance out of your recording, what is needed in the recording. Essentially, we just need you to record your gameplay as long as you're for the general player. So if there's any issues during the game, we'll have footage from everyone's point of view to be able to address it quickly and efficiently.
Yeah. And those settings are the minimum recording quality, so we suggest just using those, and it'll be the least overhead for you. It's got everything configured as such already. That has 720p. That's kind of our minimum requirement right now, so that we can make out anything that's going on. If we have 5 pixels, we cannot do much with that, of course. So we need some amount of quality to be able to piece together evidence as needed if some sort of investigation were to happen.
Kingling asking if they'll have to submit the recordings if they qualify, or if it seems suspicious. You'll only be asked to submit recordings if there is a reason to do so. We're not going to ask you to submit willy-nilly. It's going to be a case of if there's a ticket that's been raised or there's a suspicion of foul play during a game, we'll then ask for the recordings to be able to evaluate on that. And it might not even be a recording of the whole thing. It might be a specific round or time. Just depends on the situation.
Yeah, usually it's sort of asking for a minimum amount as needed of footage, so it's easier for players to upload. It's least amount of information you really have to give us, and it's also I'll also add that when any investigation's going on, usually if someone's accusing someone else of, XYZ, they have to provide footage to back up their claim, or they have to provide something as evidence for us to really look at it. So people can't just make false accusations and force, people to ask for footage or do anything along those nature. So really, for an investigation to start, there's got to be cause, and then the next part is sort of evidence gathering of, okay, let's get let's get footage from this person. Maybe that person's footage didn't capture something. We get their teammate to provide that round, etc., as needed. All right, let's go. Let's hit a couple more land questions. We're getting a bunch of land questions. If their parent consents, will you guys also fly out the parent? We will not be flying out the parent. They're consenting for their son or daughter to come to the event. They can come if they want to, but they will not be flown out by us. People are shy or can have anxiety in big crowds. How will you be able to deal with this sort of problem? That's an interesting question. Anybody want to take a stab at that one?
I can speak a little bit on that. I also have anxiety and panic attacks, so come find me. We'll cuddle in a corner. That's a tough question though. I can sympathize with you.
I mean, really, the decision of whether you want to come or not is entirely up to the players, and I think for the folks who've seen it happen, it's a once in a lifetime sort of experience to be able to be part of that, being on stage, etc. It's also a big, it can be stressful, I imagine. Not just playing, but even just being up there on stage in front of a crowd, in front of, cameras, all that sort of stuff. But can definitely say it's going to be a lot of fun. So
There's one thing as well is that you when you're on stage and you're in that scenario, you're going to be wearing headphones that pretty much block out all of the audio from outside, and your VR headset will block out pretty much all visuals. So it will almost be like you're playing in your room anyway.
true.
Yeah, that is correct. When I was playing on stage, it was just like playing in my living room, so that should give you some comfort.
So we're having a couple of questions about gun stocks at the LAN event. H, do you want to talk about that?
Sure. Gun stocks are legal. We're not going to prevent you from bringing your stock. We will not be providing any stocks because, well, every player has their own preferences. It's sort of a comfort tool. So if players want to bring one, they can bring one. Now, players will be receiving, if they're not used to the index, they'll be receiving their index in advance, so they can plan for modifying their gun stock or anything like that, and testing it out, making sure it works with the hardware that they would use at LAN, and bring their gun stock with them, or they can come and not play with the stock. It's entirely up to the player. Okay, what do we have? So yep, you can still request keys if you or your team needs it to compete. They will be given out. Qualifiers are close, but teams can register to play at qualifiers at any point before that specific qualifier itself. So if you want to play week 3, you can sign up week 3 right before that Saturday, and you'll be able to play. What would happen if the last player in a tournament loses a match because of tracking issues? For example, the index drift. Say it's a 1v1 and one of them gets drift in the right hand and loses the final round because of it. Would you do a rematch or pass it off as very unfortunate timing, since this is out of dev and players' control, since it's a hardware issue? We're going to do our best to prevent that from happening. I can say that. We're going to do our best to prevent that from happening, but certain things like that are out of everyone's control. So most likely it would pass, and that's part of, I guess, the reason that, you know, it's not a single map sort of match. There's margin for error there, but yeah, Zucchini, you got anything to add on that one, maybe?
I think to add on to it is it's just an aspect of esport gaming in general. Things aren't always going to be perfect, but these are going to be more or less brand new-ish headsets with like 3 weeks old. So stick drift hopefully won't be a case, and
I think it
I
was
don't.
a
We're
question
going to have a pretty
specifically
good.
regarding tracking of the controllers, right? So
Yeah, and
the way the
you must
stage
be
is going to be set up is for optimal tracking as per. So HCC is the only one that has guidelines of how you should set up index base stations. So essentially, following that for every player on stage, so everybody on stage would have 4 points of tracking. So you would have the most optimal tracking that you can have on any PCVR setup at the LAN. So from a technical control perspective, you know, we do what we can, but that's not to say that something like that couldn't happen. You know, technical difficulties are a real thing. There's other things that contribute to it. You know, maybe the stage explodes and a sensor falls off. I don't know, right? So like maybe in those situations, it could be, you know, talked about, but I don't see a situation where someone's tracking just randomly messes up because it's VR and that's just how VR is and a round gets replayed.
So does that mean that where the player's actually playing, there will literally be like a box of trackers around the player?
Essentially, yes.
Yeah, I think I've seen that. Cool.
I'd also add that you know, if a player notices they're having hardware issues, maybe they have a defective unit or something, we do have backups that we will be able to give them. You know, we can pause things, get a backup. Teams also have an opportunity to practice on the stage hardware, even if they didn't get to their houses. They'll be able to practice in full stage conditions a little bit to get used to anything. Point out any problems to us. You know, like if I point this direction, I'm having a tracking issue, things like that. You know, we'll have time to troubleshoot and dry run and figure out. So we're hoping for a smooth, issue-free event, but there's a lot of moving parts here. VR is still young and new, so it's possible, and we'll have to work through those issues.
Yeah, at the end of the day, we have enough indexes at the event to replace headsets a couple of times. So
Is OBS the only recording software we can use? Nope, you're welcome to use anything as long as it meets the, you know, 720p resolution requirements. You could use GeForce Experience. Your files will be massive, as you might already know, if you use it.
We also won't
So
necessarily be supporting those other ones. So if you have issues with them,
yeah.
that's more outside of what we're going to support.
Yep. How many wins are required to get qualified? Someone want to describe the qualifier format?
I feel like someone hasn't read the rules, but it's not about how many wins you have. It's more about how many losses you don't have. Once you lose twice in a qualifier, you're out. So you just keep going until there's less than 12 teams left. I think is the math. And then the top 6 teams qualify.
Is there a limit to how many teams sign up? Is there a cutoff? There is not. The format that we've created basically allows us to have any number of teams playing on each given qualifier. So signups are open pretty much till the night before, and there are no limits. There's no caps. There's no deadline because of that. So it's very friendly. So you know, if you play on Saturday, you lose, you say I want to go again on Sunday, you can sign up Saturday night, and you're good to go for Sunday. That being said, if you want to play this weekend, go sign up now. While we're here, and you remember, it's as simple as just going to ivrl.org/vail/qualifiers and just hitting the register button if you already have a team. Now you do need 5 players minimum to sign up. So you want a full roster to do that. But there's no cost to really, you know, playing extra qualifiers. So we recommend everybody play this weekend, even if you don't think you're ready. go ahead and play this weekend. You know, and because the elimination structure, you don't have to play the whole weekend. You know, you'll play till you eliminate if you get eliminated if you don't think you're good enough. But hey, who knows? Maybe you'll qualify. Maybe you'll make it through. So encourage everyone to go sign up. And the first weekend is gonna be the best weekend as we figure out how this whole thing's gonna go.
Also, once you qualify, you can't play in more qualifiers. You'll be removed from those because you already have a spot in the playoffs.
That's right. We do plan on continuing the joust. So, someone want to describe what the joust is and how that works? Anybody? Okay, fine. I'll do it.
Somebody
You
that
guys
wasn't
suck.
sick this week and has a voice.
I was sick all week.
So the jousts are weekly matchups. They have no bearing on qualifiers. They have no bearing on playoffs. They are just for fun. They're weekly matchups that come out on Monday. They're basically like match-made scrims. The format's different. You play all 3 maps. You play at your own time. You pick whenever you want to play, and you play them. And you just report the scores back and when you're playing as well. They can get casted depending on who's available, who's around. So that's a good way to keep practicing. For qualified teams, it's a good chance to, you know, continue playing against top teams. So, you know, that's a good way to practice. So we'll be continuing those throughout August as well. So for qualified teams or teams that are trying to practice and get good for the later stage qualifiers, you will have a chance through the jousts, which we will be putting signups for up this weekend probably.
Link asked how many hours a player they're going to be per day. Are people able to sign up for qualifiers during the weekend? For the first one, it's a variable based on how many teams there are and how long the games take. So we don't actually know. It really depends on a lot of things. The second question, are people able to sign up for qualifiers during the weekend? You can sign up for a qualifier up until the point the qualifier has started, basically. Once it has started, then it is locked and you cannot join it.
Yeah, so we say the night before, pretty much, you want to be signed up by, so that in the morning of, we can start the qualifier and have matches made. And there's a chance that if you sign up in the morning, you might not get in, but if you sign up by the night before, you will definitely get in.
King Link also asks about recording consent.
Yeah, I was mentioning
coming to
that
the
one.
tournament and participating in it. Do we have to give consent to be recorded, or is that something we'll have to do separately? Consent to? If so, what would happen if we don't consent to being recorded? I'm sure that is explicitly talking about on stage at LAN.
Yeah, there will be player consents for media coverage and footage and pictures and all of that. Like I said, this is a showcase of VR esport. There's going to be a lot of cameras there, and that's going to be a big part of it. So it's going to be a requirement to be participating there. Now, you could probably, we're probably not going to require you to, well, you don't need to be disclosing your PII, I should say. Like, if you don't want to use your name, we could probably just use your gamer tag. Things like that we'll probably have considerations for. But yes, there will be cameras, a lot of cameras, and they will be on.
And then the second part of that question was, why would players have to use indexes instead of Quest 2's 5 CB1s, change straps? So I can answer that one. Essentially, yes, players are going to have to use the index at the LAN. We will be sending them out to anybody who doesn't have one that qualifies in the top 4 3 weeks prior to the LAN, to give them some time to get used to grabbing things on the controllers. The reason that we've chosen to go with indexes is purely because the schedule of the event doesn't afford us any time to switch and choose in between VR setups. So Steam VR was the most reliable and top option for us, and it's a PC VR showcase. That's why we're playing it on a PC VR headset, which is sure, arguably, but the de facto standard for that right now. That's what we have. There's also a question about, do we get, I've seen this asked a couple times here, do we get to keep the indexes that we're being given? Currently, no, you do not. You'll have to give them back at the end of the event.
Is it a live stage or a streamed stage? not quite sure what a stream stage is, but all players will be in the same room and on a stage, physical stage.
No, I think
And
they
there
meant
will
like if
be
there's
an
a crowd or
audience.
anything.
Yeah.
Yes, there will be a crowd. Yep.
Yes, there will be a crowd. How much time is there going to be between the day we arrive to Miami and the day of the LAN? We are not looking at a week. That would be very long. It'll likely be about a day. You'll be arriving the day before, in the morning of probably, and that'll be dry run day. That'll be media day. That'll be that sort of thing. And where are we going to sleep? We will be providing accommodation for those players as well. It's part of the package. But yeah, a lot of the details about the LAN will be solidified as we get closer to September and October. We're excited to share the venue. We're not quite there yet, but we will be soon at some point.
Our group's going to be chosen randomly from the 1 to 6 seeds for each qualifier. How will you do this? Random number generator. Frig asks that. I'm assuming that he means for each qualifier, the top 6. How will they be grouped into playoff groups to compete for that top 4?
So each playoff group is made up of an equal sort of skill distribution, as we're calling it. So you'll have 2 1 seeds, 2 2 seeds, 2 3 seeds, etc. per playoff group, and that's how we're going to be placing them. It is not based on which qualifier you qualify in. It's not based on your other metrics of your qualifier performance other than your rank. Those are the only factors that go into that, and then you'll be placed in a group. Yeah, 2 1 seeds will be in each group, 2 2 seeds in each group, etc.
Will the LAN be streamed to something like Twitch? Yes, the whole event will be broadcasted to Twitch or a platform like it.
You can go ahead and give us a follow right now. I'm going to put the Twitch link in Town Hall questions. That didn't work. That'll work. That's the IVRL TV Twitch channel. Where would one of the players disclose a VAC ban? So you can actually do this on your player profile. Ticket is a good idea as well. You could do that to immediately reach us, but you can also go on your IVRL website profile, top right, hit your name, go to my profile, and edit profile or update profile, and you'll be able to actually type in a VAC ban disclosure on there, whether you get a new one, whether you had one before you signed up, whatever the case be, you can type it in there.
If a player's flight was to be cancelled or delayed, what would sort of be, what could we do for that itch?
So part of it, that's another reason why there's a day buffer between when players are flying in and when the actual LAN begins, the actual tournament part of it. So we're hoping that's enough time to account for that. Now, if there's some, I don't know, crazy world event going on that's really out of our control and not much we can do, but we have 1 day buffer to account for that, any kind of situation like that. How do I look as good as Tropical and Tropical?
You got to train like him. Eggs.
You got to train, yes.
They get those
get the
burgers and
calves.
milk.
Yep.
Tropical's not here. He missed it. He's giving away one of the jerseys. I think he's signing and giving it away. So I think you can, if you get the highest liked comment on that YouTube video, I think you get a jersey and you can look as good as him.
I think it's actually the one he's wearing in the video as well, if I'm not mistaken. It might be.
You're right. Yeah.
Washed or unwashed?
So a couple more questions to
User's
do with the
choice.
LAN. If a player's flight were to be canceled, delayed, what would happen? That's a tough one. Obviously, we can't afford for every possible technical delay that happens. Flights are kind of wacky, so we'd probably have to make do in some semblance. That's a really impossible one to afford for.
Yeah. We have a 1 day buffer. More than that, kind of sucks.
Yeah. The intention would be arriving on the morning of the day before, or at worst, the night of the day before that would be the intention at this time. Similar to Omi's questions, what if a player show up in Miami at 3 a.m. or something ridiculous? So obviously we'll be involved in scheduling the flights. It's not going to be like, here's a prepaid Visa card, buy a flight and figure it out. So we're going to do our best to avoid that. Especially, time zone consideration. Obviously, if you take off like as technically a red eye in Europe and land at like, 2 a.m. in Miami, like that's gonna suck. So we'll be working with the teams that end up coming in top four to make sure that they get as good as we can travel accommodations for it.
Yeah,
And
there's
if
a lot that goes
does
into it
happen,
with
we'll get a case of Red Bull. Don't worry.
there's a lot that goes into it, and with not knowing who our 4 finalist teams are yet, that a lot of that just is up in the air. If all the teams are flying from the West Coast, if all the teams are flying from Europe, there's a whole bunch of things that matter. Yeah, we're definitely going to do our best to accommodate and get everyone flights and accommodations for sure.
Yeah, there's definitely gonna be some give and take because obviously, flights from certain places don't happen as commonly as we'd like. So, um, with that said, we're gonna do our best to make sure that people get here at reasonable times. Travel's not ridiculous for them. They're not taking like 15 layovers just to get to Miami, something like that. We're gonna do our best to get the best possible flight situations for everybody because nobody should have to come in and play tired because their flight was delayed and all this, garbage, and they got sent on a cheap airline or something, right? You know what I mean? So, you have to just take us at our word that we're going to try our best for that one, guys.
Yeah. Can we party with XLab and IVRL? Yeah, absolutely. We're gonna hopefully have an after party. We'll see. We're still, sort of in the early stages of planning that, but the hope is we're gonna have a sick party going on. Yeah, that's the plan. Saturday night.
Anyone can always buy me a drink. Same with Rips.
Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely.
So Darude, you're a little bit late. So was already answered. Essentially, right now it's looking like arrive the day before, early in the morning, have a day for a setup, test the stage, make sure that you're comfortable as can be in that situation. The next day is the actual tournament, and then probably the day after that, you'd be heading out.
And it is definitely not one-way tickets. We're gonna buy you a ticket back home too.
Yeah, you either win enough money at the land to actually go home, or you're stuck in Miami.
Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
start walking.
Yep. Obviously kidding.
That'd be brutal. It is
people
not
have
gonna be a
long
first class flight though. I'll tell you that too. Most likely.
Yeah. King Lang, people with long flights. I mean, that's just the reality of it. Everybody here knows where the land is being held. It's in Miami, Florida. If you're a team that places and you live across the world and your flight is long, I just have no way to fix that for you.
Maybe watch some like Breaking Bad or something on your way here.
Yeah, download a few shows, like get comfortable. Like
I can
bring a
give you
good
some
travel
show recommendations. I can
Yeah,
give you some
like,
show recommendations.
There's just some things that
if that would help.
we can't control, right? Yeah, Vision, just develop a teleporter, easy clap,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
We'll give
There's
you a
something
TV show, Rex, and we'll buy you a coffee when you land. That's about the best we can do.
we'll just have to we'll be doing our best to make sure players are arriving as comfortably and as quickly as they possibly can. Beyond that, no answers. What are the prize tiers? Don't believe those are announced yet. Etch.
They are, yep. They are at the bottom of that season format page that Theta just linked. You can see the prize breakdown. It's 20K first place, 10K second place, 5K third place, and a bunch of other non-cash stuff that's listed below it, and more coming, hopefully, in the works.
Okay, and to answer Ian Ninja's question here for the recordings, do they have to record their play space or just their gameplay? Nope. All we should require will be recordings of your gameplay.
Will there be a media area for cool people? There's going to be space for obviously there's a spectator space, but there's also going to be free tickets for people in the IVRL and just VR community. So we're hoping to have folks who want to come, give them the option to come and be part of this, watch, cheer on. Only requirement is you got to be loud. I mean, you can't come here and just sit down.
Yeah, no quiet spectators, please.
Yeah, you got to be loud. That's the only requirement we
have. Vision, don't have details on if there's going to be, photo shoots for you and your team, but there will be photographers at the event as, any live event. So more than likely you'll end up in at least one cool action photo of you pounding noob.
Yeah. Yeah, and we're planning the day before to, get footage and do all that sort of stuff, but it's just way too early to really talk about a lot of that. I mean, we've been so focused, heads down on getting August ready and just getting us ready for the qualifiers. And the basics of the land. A lot of the nitty-gritty land details are TBD.
King Link, an interesting question. Substances allowed during the LAN. This is a not all ages, but technically very so, given that you only need to be 13 to be flown out if you get into the top 4. So, yeah, you're not going to be able to, drink or smoke the cannabis on stage, etc. If you have a legitimate prescription for some type of medicine, nobody's going to stop you from doing that. But, be reasonable.
Yeah, not on stage.
Yeah, like this isn't like it's Miami, right? So drinking age 21. It's not even a 21 plus event. Like this is anybody. So no, much as I would like to walk around the whole event with a beer in my hand, I don't think I'll be doing that.
State laws also, don't forget.
Yep.
Oh
Yeah.
So whatever state law is, you got to make sure you're following those rules as well.
Yeah, that's essentially. what
Sorry
it
to
will
be a
governing by.
downer.
Yep. Parents get free tickets to come to the venue. Yeah, I'm sure that we can squeeze some free tickets for them to come to the venue. Travel notwithstanding, that's their problem, but I don't see why that couldn't be worked out.
Can we ask to cancel the second flight back home? Yeah. If you don't want us to pay for that flight, we are happy to spend that money elsewhere. We will be working with the 4 teams to figure out the flights and if they want to, dates and whatnot. If someone has to, for example, they have to leave Saturday night right after the event, we could probably make that happen because, we understand. But otherwise, we're going to try to, make it as comfortable as possible for the players.
Cosplay contests for the finals event.
Cosplay, yeah.
I don't think that there is a cosplay contest in the works, but if you want to come in your most spirited attire, no one's going to stop you.
Yep. Calling some rab cosplayers, the more the better. But
yeah, gray pants and red and black shirt, good to go. What I'm just looking at it now. Can anyone see questions that we haven't answered, and or if we haven't answered your question, can you just reply to it so it comes to the front? Kind of go through as best we can here. So if you have something pressing that you didn't get answered, please remind us.
Bump it up
We'll
now.
get to it.
How and where will my games recordings be submitted? So what happens is if we need a recording after. So let's start here. For a qualifier, here's what happens if there's an issue, right? During the qualifier, we need tickets submitted as soon as possible because of the way the event's structured. If you tell us about something that happened that was illegal after everything happens, we can't go back in time and change those matches, because there's new matches generated off of those matches and so forth. So we can't do that. So what we're telling teams to do, and you can see this in the rules. You can see the investigation, or what is it called, disciplinary action section in the rules. What we encourage teams to do is as soon as an incident happens, let's say someone's in a wall, you see a guy in a wall or he's in a box or something, finish that round, pause the game. So all players tomorrow, this should be coming on the build tonight. We'll have the ability to pause the match by hitting P on their keyboard. So you would have to be near your keyboard, but you'll be able to hit P and pause the match in between round times. So you pause the match and then you create a ticket. That pause is 5 minutes long. So every team has 1 5-minute timeout. You pause it, you make a ticket, you tell us. We hop in your voice channel, we talk to you, we figure out if an investigation is needed. And simplest thing for us to do is for you to stream your perspective and just scrub through your past video and show it to us. Like, hey, look, this guy's in a wall. Here's the video of him being in a wall. So at that point, we would either act on it, we'd ask that player for their POV, which if it's in a qualifier, they could show us, or they can clip it, upload it to YouTube, send us the link, etc. Whatever works, whatever's fastest. Now, after a qualifier happens, some other investigations going on. Yes, in that case, we would ask you to clip your video, upload it to YouTube or Drive or some public, online source, send it to the officials, and it would get reviewed.
A couple of things about team uniforms. At this point, there is no intention to provide any team's uniforms as part of the event. Of course, if you want to, design your own or have your own or whatever and wear them, all for it. That's awesome. Ultimately, dress code is going to be your kind of standard athletic wear, like the the gym shorts and a comfortable t-shirt kind of vibe at the minimum. We're not going to force people to play in tuxedos on stage or anything like that. Wear what's comfortable, but no, you cannot play naked.
Oh.
Ew.
I wanna
Was that
take this one about teabagging. All right, first of all, we're not gonna ban teabagging. Okay? Just be respectful. We all are friends with each other. I will teabag anyone in this voice chat any day of the week. But be respectful. If you do it aggressively, if you're being a dick about it, if someone asks you to stop and you do it again, like, be an adult, okay?
Yeah, back to team uniforms for a brief sec. We're probably gonna try to get jerseys for teams. I don't want to confirm that's a yes, but we're gonna probably try to do that. Because who doesn't like some jerseys? Getting more substance questions. Energy drinks are allowed. Whether they'll be allowed on stage or not is a separate question. The answer is probably going to be no, because we have PCs and hardware on stage, as well as cameras and branding and all that sort of stuff. So likely not on stage, but if you drink energy drinks beforehand, I don't think we're going to have an issue with that.
The drink policy on stage is likely going to be closed containers only, and they have to be closed unless you're drinking them.
Yeah.
So,
I
Substance
still like
testing
our water
beforehand.
bottle idea. Sports water bottle person.
the caddies, yeah.
Yeah, you just open your mouth, tilt your head back, and there's
Yeah.
Gatorade bottle to the mouth.
Don't even take off your headset. Yeah.
Yeah.
Get a water stream.
Yeah, we're not going to be testing people for substances.
Yeah.
Again, this is based on state rules and regulations. So guys, mind the state rules and regulations. That's pretty much all we can say on that.
Yeah, this is a big event. It's not a global sporting event like the Olympics. And additionally, we don't have a performance enhancing drug oversight committee or board looking at this. And I don't think that that's the intention in the near future. So, generally speaking, be reasonable, follow the laws, take your medicine that you are supposed to take and come ready to play and be reasonable about it.
Okay, we have a roster question. So let's say roster contains 5 people, one gets sick, stops playing, or other. You should take use of the fact that roster sizes are up to 8. You can have up to 8 people on your roster. So that's what we are encouraging people to do is have a 6th member, have a 7th member, so that you can swap someone out on your roster, and you can swap them out at any point. Really, like if they play a match and they don't feel so hot, you can swap them out for the next match or whatever it be. So we encourage people to take advantage of the fact that roster sizes are not limited to 5. But if, for example, you had 8 people and 4 of them get sick suddenly, then yes, you have to deal with that, because the rule is that it's a max of 8 for all teams, and we're not really making exceptions on that.
We want to just quickly talk about the next part of that question asked by Archer. Are you flying out all 8 players?
We will be flying out 5 players, so teams will be able to indicate which 5 will be coming. If they want to bring other players and fly out on their own expense, they can do so and are welcome to do so. But for this event, we'll be flying out 5 people from a team. 5 that can make it.
The person talking about the VAC ban, open a ticket. We can discuss that.
Yep.
Just open a ticket and we'll be happy to let you know the process and anything we need to do there. Thanks for bringing that up.
Yes, streaking is frowned upon. I feel like I shouldn't have to respond to that, but sure.
King Link asks, how will teams be separated?
sorry. I'm sorry. Is that actual question?
Yes, yes.
Oh my
asked
god,
it.
you guys, what is wrong with you people?
It's some peas.
We're,
So I'll
we're
ask them.
clearly
Please, I'm gonna beat
diverging
you.
from the
Stop
actual
it.
questions.
Oh my god.
Link asks, how will teams be separated from each other to prevent cross-team comms? How will players be communicating on with each other, Discord, in-game? At this point, the audio solution that we'll be providing for the LAN is not announced. In long and short of it is that it will prevent you from hearing other people around you, as well as have a microphone that does not pick up every little bit of noise. Two reasons for that. The venue will likely be loud. There will be casters. It will be, an intense hype event. People will be, cheering, hopefully. And obviously you'll be in close enough proximity that you're on a stage together. That stage design is not available yet, but just know that you won't be able to hear the other team. We're not sure if you'll be using Discord or in-game at this point, but bank on in-game probably, since it should be hopefully finished by that point.
We're gonna give Mama a stick? No, she's gonna have a whip. Of course. At the LAN.
I don't go anywhere without my whip. Come on, you guys.
How are we gonna get spectators involved? I'm not sure what that means. But to answer some other spectator questions, dress code for spectators. Yeah, it's way too early to really have anything like that, honestly. Like I said, we've been just thinking about Saturday for so long. I mean, the LAN is close, but not close enough for us to have dress codes and such picked out for them. But we will have spectators. We'll have a handful of spectators coming and observers. If you're interested in spectating or casting, fill out an application. They are in announcements. I think they're pinned. If not, we can drop them in here. But you can apply to be a caster. You should have casting experience to apply, and they are paid positions. So if you're interested in casting, do apply. We're looking for more.
When you read spectators, I like how your brain went straight to casters, because that's what I thought at first, but I'm not sure if he's talking about people just being at the event.
Oh,
I really need some like clarification on these questions, guys.
I mean, if that's the case, yes, there will be people who can attend. There will be tickets. There will be a bunch of free tickets for the IVRL community. So yes, that probably is maybe the answer to that question.
Another question by King Link. What will the air conditioning cooling be like? Too early to say exactly what will be the scenario there, but expect to play comfortably.
How will teams be after they die? Will there be just a black screen? As far as I'm aware, that used to be in the game. I don't really know how that's going to be handled in the tournament, if somebody can answer that.
If I'm not mistaken, they just pushed a build.
Oh yeah, they did. That's
Well, that's
probably
your
enabled in
answer.
that.
Yeah.
There you go.
So there should be a
And
couple things that we're looking for in that. Our understanding is that for the servers that you'll be playing on with the tournament, we'll have the anti-ghost controls put in place.
I'm also going to just take the chance to talk a little bit about what tomorrow looks like and what qualifiers in general look like. So, right before your start time, so 1 p.m. for this weekend, maybe around 12:45, matches will go live on the website. And essentially, teams will be able to click on their match and see their login info and server info, and the servers will already be created for them. Now, as soon as 10 people are in a server, it'll start. Otherwise, it'll start in 5 minutes, as kind of indicated by the rules. So all that's controlled, and scores will also be fully automated, and teams just have to play, hop out. Scores will be ready on the website for them to take a look at. If there's, for some reason, if it's incorrect or it's flipped or something, you can make a ticket and tell us. Now, it's important that home teams play as Rayab. That's kind of important for us. That's part of the rule. So home teams must play as Rayab. And yeah, once the match is done and all the scores are in, next set of matches will get generated. Same exact process. All that's sort of automated and ready to go. So the player experience tomorrow, this weekend, in general, during the qualifier should be very smooth, is our hope. Virtual crouch being removed opens up a lot of ADA violations. This is something that we're going to be talking more about with the top 4 teams. We got ahead with the rule and put it out there. We don't want to surprise anybody with anything like that. Now, of course, like we said, if somebody needs an exception for some reason, we will be granting that exception. But we think it's better for the event, better for VR esports in general, for us to take this direction with it and showcase the physicality of the game. So yes, that's all going to be in consideration. We will have a conversation with the teams that are going to be at the finals. We're reasonable people, and I hope that's clear from sort of this conversation here and everything that we've shared so far. At this point, JD, it's not clear exactly what's going to be needed for an exception. Probably won't have an answer for that till September when we get closer to teams that are qualifying and so forth. So for the question about footage and so forth, likely will be shared with the teams once everything is made and all the assets or media assets are made and whatnot. So there will be a lot of footage, and it'll definitely be getting shared with players and teams, I'm sure. Yeah. Will there be admission tickets to watch? Yes, there will be. But like I said before, there'll be a bunch of free tickets for people in the IVRL community.
Will the exploit with the gun being held incorrectly be banned? If you're referring to the exploit where virtual stock shows the incorrect hand positions, as far as I'm aware, that has been fixed. It shouldn't really be an issue anymore.
Yeah, it's in the patch notes.
The build
Yeah,
notes
it's in the
that
patch
we
notes
just
for
went
20
out while
minutes
we were
ago.
doing this, right? Yeah.
If you know how to do that, go and test it and let us know.
Yes,
Yeah.
I don't really have time to right now, unfortunately. So
Yeah, I don't know how to do it, but I mean the build literally came out 20 minutes ago. So
yeah,
download it and get in there and check it out and let us know.
I'd like to add big thank you to the devs for pushing that out. They've gotten that like so many bugs fixed so quickly in the last week.
Absolutely,
And
yeah.
it's been
They've been
amazing
grinding.
from them.
They've been grinding. I have so much respect.
Your boy Sam, your question about you only need to sign up for one qualifier, and when your team is kicked out, you can't play anymore. None of that sentence is correct. So you can sign up for as many qualifiers as you want. Once you qualify, you can't play in anymore. But if you don't qualify in the first one, you can play in the second one, you can play in the third one. You can keep playing until you qualify, or there are no more qualifiers.
Will everybody be able to watch the Miami event? Yes, we will be streaming that. It will be on the IVRL Twitch. There will be full coverage of the event. If you're not there in person, please tune in, support, watch the matches. Should be an awesome event.
Yeah, piggybacking off of that, I mean, this is hopefully the start of a lot more events like this, kickstarting VR esports and really pushing it forward. So anything that people do to support this helps. Watching, subscribing, all that stuff, little actions add up and help a lot. So
will the winners in Miami get their own individual skins or sprays? Unfortunately, Tropical's muted because I would love to ask.
the answer is yes. If you go to the bottom of the season format page, you will see everything that has been confirmed that teams will be getting. I will put the link to that here.
Do it like a
And
link
we get
this time.
support for lefties and tired of not being able to see my ammo count. Fair.
I have to laugh
However,
at that.
I feel like that might be a question for a different Discord.
It is, but I have to laugh at that one, Archer, because Verds is a lefty also, and
yeah.
that is one of his biggest complaints is that there's never lefty support. So I can sympathize, but I also crack up when I read that because I hear Bird screaming at the top of his lungs.
I see. Yeah. There is technically like a left-handed support option in the game for controls. I'm not entirely sure if the ammo counter actually swaps sides if you have that enabled. It'd be cool if it did though.
Any giveaways to fly a random out to watch? At this point, I don't think anything's on the horizon for that. Etch?
Yep, nothing planned like that at the moment. But
Who
who
knows?
knows? Yeah. Will the winners? Oh, we answered that one already.
Yeah, I don't see a lot of new questions that we've missed. If we have missed your question, I'll remind again, please just reply to your comment or post it again, bump that question, we'll get them answered.
To answer Omi's question, we just how long did it take season 1 prizes for Onward Trip?
Longer than it should have because I had some issues, but definitely faster than some other leagues.
I think 3 weeks, right?
Less than a month for prizes to
I was
go
going
out.
to say, there you go.
Less than a
Thank
month.
you.
Or something. Yeah, that's kind of our expectation. Probably faster than that. We want to get prizes to teams as soon as possible because they want it and they deserve it. So it will not take 7
for the
months to
LAN
receive
will
a prize money, I can
probably
guarantee that.
happen at the LAN.
It's possible. Yeah.
I don't see why they wouldn't.
Yeah, you'll go home with your money.
Who wants a
Are you
sack
gonna?
of cash?
Yeah, just get that right through customs. It'll be fine. Are you going to stand on a stage in front of people playing the event? Yes, you will be on stage. There will be in-person spectators in the same room watching the same stage. It's meant to be a showcase kind of style event, exciting kind of thing for the VR scene. So yes, you will be playing in front of live spectators at the finals. Yes, Peas, no streaking.
I've just reacted to that.
Yeah,
I didn't even
okay.
know if we could bring that up again.
Peas is going to be banned before he's even started.
I did think that someone at some point, I just saw someone mention trophy. Gray mentioned trophy. I did see someone ask if there will be a trophy about it.
There's going to be a sick trophy. That's all I can say.
Sick trophy. Heard it here first.
Yes.
I was going to say something, but nah.
Absolutely sick trophy.
Yeah, if it's not sick trophy, Mama, you can't say it.
Your boy Sam, yes, those are the EU qualifiers, which have different rules, I believe. Is that also in that format link, Etch?
That would be in the rules section itself. Basically, EU qualifiers have EU server preference when they are playing. So if you play an NA team on an EU day, you get to play on the EU server. If you play an NA team on any of the other 6 days, you will be playing on an NA server. So that's the primary difference, and then the time is also a little bit earlier to be more friendly. There's only one trophy, so yeah, team will have to fight for who gets to take it home.
And the trophy, I don't think is tropical, unless tropical wants to put any words on that. From what Hawkins is saying.
A trophy?
That's what someone's asking.
All my shields is responsible for the trophy.
They want you as a trophy
They
Yeah,
want you.
but
They
it's
want
going to
you
be
as a trophy.
Winning
Right.
team will get something special from me, I promise. I'm like brainstorming the craziest gift ever.
Oh my God, JD, please.
Oh.
I like JD. No, I like where he's going with this. Hold on. I like where the man's going with this.
Of course you do, Trip. Shush, I'm gonna mute you. Oh my lord. Yes, Harridge, I will.
I'll link the caster application in 1 second.
Yeah, persistent trophies, Jazzy, are also a good idea. We're looking into trophies still, so that might be something. Like you have to hold your, like the WWE belt. You have to hold on to it every year. You come back.
WWE belt. All right, belts confirmed for the LAN.
Belt
Why not? Fail belts. Let's do it.
Well, we're gonna have belts and whips, so we might as well just go for broke.
Good to go. What are the plans?
That's where the naked
for...
statue comes in.
Trip. What are the plans for future seasons, and will there be an amateur league to set up different skill levels?
I mean, at this point, it's a little early to tell. A lot of it hinges on the success of this event. So we ask you all to help us make this successful. Get more people in here. Get more teams in here. Help us, make this as big as we possibly can. Tweet, share it. Get your parents watching. Get your uncle watching. I don't care. Do something, right? Do what you can to make this big. And we're hoping to have more of these happening. And definitely want to have different regional events to, grow the Latin American VR community that's interested in VR esports, grow the APAC VR community that's interested in VR esports. And definitely amateur, I think an amateur league is important too. Once you have once you have an actual league started, then you need an amateur league that feeds into it, that gets, these teams ready to compete in the actual league. But all that requires time and, the competitive scene to develop.
Yeah.
I mean, a couple months ago, there was
We need the player
a
count.
handful of teams that even scrimmed Vail, and today we're at a point where there's dozens of teams, and it's there's a lot of that stuff requires time as it develops.
Have you reached out to larger orgs, FaZe, Fnatic, Ninjas in Pajamas? Those big names carry a lot of attraction. I know that there is some outreach activities surrounding the game and the league. However, I believe it's been focused on groups that are primarily into VR right now.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of interest from some Pancake esports folks. Jake Lucky, Panda just mentioned, is one that has been tweeting about VR esports lately. A few others. We're bringing in some casters who are esports casters who are introducing into VR, getting them to play the game, getting them to really get into this scene. So a lot of that is definitely happening behind the scenes to make this as big as possible.
You got to remember the era of video gaming we're in for VR, right? Like we're definitely a step behind, traditional flat screen or pancake games and their community sizes, right? Like this tournament, this event, everything, like, it's put on as a stepping stone to grow this scene and this community. Let's just keep growing and keep getting more people in there, get your friends in here, get everybody in here, start competing, have fun with it. And, those big names will come in time, right? We would be silly to think that over the next, 5-10 years with VR esports in general, that names like that wouldn't get involved. There's a natural progression happening here. Axe Labs clearly invested in developing a product to kind of lead that. And we're here for it, man. So it's exciting. It's fun. Everybody should be hyped.
I'm pretty hyped. I feel pretty confident.
Hey, shit, yeah. Let's fucking go.
Pretty hyped.
Rip's way of saying let's go. Yep.
I know, I love it. That's awesome.
Says nothing and then yeah.
Yeah.
It's exciting. It's really legitimately exciting. Like I'm super proud and happy to be part of this, like me personally, and it's just great seeing this many people compete. It's really great.
Will there be a competitive mode? Sort of. Well, yes, to prevent ghosting, absolutely. There won't be any ghosting. Effectively, all the servers will be configured for the tournament by IVRL through. So you get a matchup on the site. You click on that match. You get your server info there, and that server is already made for you. So you're not gonna have to go in and configure any servers or anything. And all ghosting, I believe, is not possible in the current build that just went out.
That's the intention.
That includes audio ghosting as well, hopefully.
Yep, that's the intention. So we'll verify that for sure today, right? So Eclipso asked, one smoke, one nade cap, or everything goes for nades. So this is kind of a supporting the developer's vision type of question. The developer wants it to have that nade combination that we currently have, and that's what's going to be allowed. There's no rules against what nades you can and cannot take during this tournament. It's up to the game design for that one, man.
How are timeouts going to work? That's a big one. So I mentioned a little bit earlier, but each team has one timeout available to them by the rules. They will have one timeout allowed to them by the game as well. And how that's going to work is you're going to hit P on your keyboard. It's going to take you to a 5-minute timeout. You can only do it in between rounds, but as of the latest build, I believe that should be live, and that's ready for tomorrow for teams to use. You can take that timeout at any point between rounds if you need it for stratting or whatever, or if you need to put in a ticket for any infractions or anything, you could hit that timeout and come talk to us. We'll hop in voice with you. And also, if need be, a referee will pause the match beyond those 5 minutes as well if they need to. If any issues taking place that needs match pausing. Okay, we've
Is
got
there
like 10 minutes for
possible?
that AMA, so let's try to get all the questions in and wrap things up here.
Is there a possible
Yeah.
onward style
Wait,
spectating? Oh,
guys.
go ahead.
Who's coming with me to the 7 o'clock in about 10 minutes in the Vail Discord? Because we have almost 800 people attending that. I'm assuming a lot of competitive players wanting to find out more.
I'll be there.
I'm going to
Alright.
be over there.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted some backup from IVRL on any questions or
Yeah.
know.
I
Cool.
can make that too. I just gotta take a quick break before we get there.
No problem. Keep going. Sorry to interrupt.
Oh, too many beer.
Tropical ball.
Can he ball? Bruh.
Can you ball tropical?
Can I ball?
That I was.
I can ball. I'm pretty good. I have a court right in front of me.
Vision asks, is there possible onward style spectating coming soon? I'm assuming that you mean something like the tent where you can watch your players in a third person perspective. Yes, that is coming soon. But it's just not there yet. So we'll have it. But for now, black screens, that's what you're going to get.
We're very close according to our team.
Panko asks, are you not allowed to talk when you are dead anymore? So there is no rule about what you can and cannot say after you're dead with the black screen and no audio. So if you drop the bomb, if you saw people somewhere, etc., you can say all of that. You can coach your teammates. You can answer any questions they have about round time, how many people are left, etc., etc., etc. There is no rules against that because you will not be able to see anything when you are actually dead. Yeah, we realize that the black screen, no audio hurts IGL roll. I feel that, brother. Also IGL. However, it's better than ghosting, and the room where you can see your player's perspective just isn't ready yet. So it's what we've got for now.
Yeah.
I think this is actually more asking whether or not you can still talk to your teammates after death.
Yeah, which I answered. Did I not?
Yep,
oh, okay. Sorry. Okay.
Jang, your question about gun balancing, I'd suggest coming to the 7 p.m. AMA and the other Discord. It'll probably be you'll probably get a better answer there than here. So in 10 minutes, you can hop over there and swing that question over to them. Someone asked me, what headset will people use at the finals? It'll be the Valve Index. And to answer your next question, they will be actually provided ahead of time to players who qualify for 3 weeks so they can get used to them.
Yeah, JD, I know it used to be fade to black can't talk, then they changed it that you could talk, and then some events have it rules that you can't talk. The way that this game is being played, and the intention is that a dead teammate can talk to their alive teammates. So if that vision changes or rules change, you will be announced. But right now, that's the way it works. Do the finalists keep the index headsets? At this point, no. You'll return them as sweaty as they are to us at the end of the event. Grenades patched for comp play. I'm assuming that you mean the sometimes randomly they don't go off when you throw them bug. Whether or not that's fixed, I cannot confirm.
Yeah, new builds came out about half an hour ago, but
I recommend that you jump in there and test it out and try to replicate that bug and see. I know it was reported. I know they've been working on it, but they've been working on a million other things. So I'm not sure if that snuck in. Check the patch notes, I guess. Test it out.
I see Crazy Ivan's just react with a check mark to that message, so I'm assuming that means it might have been patched.
Okay, cool. I'm hoping it did. I know that was a known bug, and I know they've been absolutely slaying it this week, killing bugs. So that's really good.
Yeah.
Are we meant to bring the indexes that the finalists are sent to warm up with us to the LAN? Yes.
Yes. And if a player has an index, they will not be receiving one from us. This is really for people who have never used an index or don't have one. And
if
need
you've
to get
used a
to it.
Quest 2, if you've used a CB1, whatever, and you've never used an index controller, and you have so index controllers have like their wacky kind of grip capacitive touch to grab stuff instead of a button. It is something that is challenging to work with. I switched Quest 2 to index and it took me about a week, and then I was doing fine. So I know 3 weeks isn't the most amount of time. I know the whole muscle memory conversation, this has been discussed to death, but it's the best that we can do with the timelines that we have. How early are the finalists flown out to Miami?
Day
They will be
prior.
day prior. Yeah, is what we're looking at. You'll either be
Morning of.
the morning of the day prior or the evening of the day before that.
You cannot say no to the index.
No, you
because
use
that is
it.
what
You
is
use the
used on
index or you don't come.
Yes.
Simple as that.
That sounds
The
friendly.
index is not good for Echo. Okay, that is a completely different game, and the index does not work well for Echo.
You either use the index and play, or
No, we get the
play
question wrong.
anyways, and you don't play if you don't use
Yes,
index.
there you go.
That's a little
Yeah.
more friendly.
Yeah.
You can come.
No,
You
JD
can
was
come.
saying.
During a trip to Miami.
JD was saying to have it shipped to him because he uses a Vario and
the edit.
knuckles controllers.
Yeah. I mean, if you don't want the index headset and you'd rather use your Arrow, which
At
I
home.
definitely would. At home, yeah, of
At
course,
home,
man.
At fine,
Then
or
you just show up to the LAN and you get handed your index and you're fragging.
Yeah, it's more for the knuckles, people that haven't used the knuckles controllers. So if you use a Vive and you already have knuckles, you don't have to get the index if you don't want it.
Are the finals casters going to listen into comms? We've discussed this. I think we would like to have that as a option, but no guarantees that happen. I know what you're talking about with like the, in between the round break, somebody just lost a round, you go into their comms. So, what are they planning kind of deal? You listen in. It's good from a spectator feel, but right now there's no intention to have that in. If that changes, we'll let you know.
Before we wrap, I'm going to mention again, if you haven't signed up, go sign up to the qualifiers. Go sign up to have a team. You can do that at ivrl.org/Vail/qualifiers. There's 8 qualifiers listed there. Sign up for the ones that you want to play in. Sign up for tomorrow. Sign up for Sunday. It never hurts, even if you feel like you're too early. So go give that a shot. We want as many teams playing and as many of them as possible. And yes, they will be streamed on Twitch. The channel name is IVR League and IVR League 2. Both will be live tomorrow and Sunday. Throughout August, every weekend, we'll be streaming all the qualifiers. And, okay, we can answer maybe 1 or 2 more questions. Can casters see player perspective? Yes, they can. There's some issues with it right now, so it's not heavily used. But once they're fixed, which I know the dev team is working on fixing, we will hope to use them more because it's a really good way to watch the match and feel like you're there. So with that, I think we're going to wrap up. Head over to the other server. Now, keep asking your questions. Drop them in the Ask Here channel or come over there and maybe you can ask them there as well, depending on
absolutely
how many people are there, what questions are all there. So you can do that, or you can drop in and Ask Here and we will try to answer it. And if you don't want to ask it there, you can hop in a ticket and drop it in there too. So we will see you all, and you all are all beautiful people as well. We're happy to have you with us and hope to make this thing massive.
Absolutely.
I love the limited verbiage that he
Rips
uses.
doesn't actually speak in full sentences.
I love it.
Absolutely.
He's like,
The only
I
he's
woke
like
up,
a
he really
soundboard.
understands
You just
I
press
woke up
buttons.
like 5 minutes ago.
3, 2, 1, skull.
No.
Increasingly verbose.
All right, I'm gonna hop over to the other Discord. Thanks everyone for joining us.
Absolutely. I can't wait to see you guys this weekend.
Have a good
He's
one.
banned.
Have a good one, everyone.
See ya.